Young Millionaire thought the farmer's daughter was just a country girl, until she showed up as his biggest investor. "What do you mean?" The investor canceled. Jack Meyer's exasperation reverberated through the high-ceilinged office suite, catching the attention of several staff members in the corridor. He stood by the reception desk, smartphone pressed to his ear, his cheeks flushing with frustration. 27-year-old Jack was not the typical suit and tie CEO. He was a new breed of entrepreneur. Armed with a tech-based approach to real estate development, he'd built a modest fortune by flipping outdated hotels into boutique getaways, securing some fame in local business circles. He'd been poised to finalize a critical deal that morning, an investment that would fuel his next ambitious project, a luxury countryside resort. But apparently that opportunity had just evaporated. His assistant Grace looked at him sympathetically. "Is everything okay?" Jack hung up, shaking his head. "No. That was our biggest potential investor. They backed out at the last minute." He raked a hand through his wavy blonde hair in frustration. "I've poured months of planning into the Maple Vale resort idea. I can't lose it now." Grace glanced at her iPad. "You do have other potential leads, smaller investors, local businesses, though none that can shoulder the majority stake you need. Maybe you should set up more pitch meetings, approach new prospects." Jack paced across the polished lobby floor, the city skyline visible through floor-to-ceiling windows behind him. "I guess I'll have to. I'm heading out tomorrow to Maple Vale to finalize the land purchase with the local farm owner. Maybe I can scrounge up interest from someone in that area." He snorted softly. "Though I doubt a bunch of country folks have millions to spare." Grace frowned slightly. "Don't underestimate small-town resources. You never know who might show up." He gave a dismissive wave, still reeling from the sudden investor loss. Sure. But it's more likely they'll just sell me the farmland, and I'll keep searching for city-based backers." Pulling on his tailored suit jacket, he stomped toward the elevator. Despite his success so far, Jack was feeling the sting of disillusionment. The Maple Vale resort concept needed one major cash infusion to launch. Without it, the dream he'd nurtured, of turning a picturesque countryside into an upscale getaway, could crumble. The next morning, Jack set out before dawn, driving his sporty SUV away from the city's hustle. As the highway curved into rolling hills, his tension eased slightly. He found an odd solace in the farmland vistas. Old barns dotted the landscape, their red paint peeling under the sun. Fields of wheat and corn stretched to the horizon. He admitted, if only to himself, that part of him admired this place's quiet simplicity. He planned to meet with the Randall family, who owned a large piece of property near a scenic lake. Their patriarch, Thomas Randall, had agreed to sell the farmland under the impression that a young developer would preserve its natural beauty. Of course, Jack's aim was to build a luxurious retreat, albeit one that blended with the environment. "I'll keep the rustic charm," Jack murmured to himself, "just with high-end amenities." Arriving in Maple Vale, he followed a gravel road toward the Randall farmhouse. The morning sun cast long shadows across the yard, where chickens pecked the ground. Jack parked near a weathered picket fence. He checked his reflection in the rearview mirror, sharp gray suit, crisp shirt, not a speck of dust. He'd resolved to look professional, even if his audience was a rural family. He stepped out, inhaling the fresh country air, and approached the front porch. Before he could knock, the door creaked open to reveal a girl, maybe early 20s, holding a basket of eggs. She wore faded jeans and a simple plaid shirt, her brunette hair pulled into a low ponytail. She had wide hazel eyes that flickered with curiosity. Hi," Jack offered, a bit taken aback. "Is Thomas Randall home? I'm Jack Meyer, here about the land purchase." She tilted her head, a slow smile forming. "Land purchase? You must be the big-shot city buyer who wants to turn Maple Vale into a fancy playground." Jack bristled slightly at her description. "I'm not turning the whole region into anything, just a small portion for a resort that can bring revenue to the community." "Are you Thomas's daughter?" She nodded, setting the basket down. "Yes, I'm Lily Randall. My dad mentioned you'd be coming. He's out back, checking on the horses. I'll take you there." Jack's eyes flicked to the eggs in her basket, noticing how carefully she handled them. A typical farm girl, he thought, unassuming, probably no interest in the complexities of major business deals. "All right," he said, mustering a polite grin. "Lead the way." They walked around the farmhouse, passing vegetable patches and an old barn. Lily moved with ease across the uneven ground, while Jack stumbled slightly in his dress shoes. The air smelled of hay, wildflowers, and distant livestock. "So, Mr. Meyer," Lily asked casually, "what exactly do you plan to do with the farmland once we sell it?" "My father was pretty hush-hush about details. He only said you offered a fair price." Jack steadied himself on a fence post. "Well, it'll be a premier retreat. Beautiful cabins, spa facilities, maybe even a small golf course. It'll attract well-to-do tourists, boost local commerce." She looked thoughtful. "Mem. And how do local farmers feel about that? We're used to wide open spaces. Golf courses might not top our priority list." He caught an undercurrent of skepticism. "I assure you, Lily, it'll be done tastefully. I respect the environment here." She nodded noncommittally. "We'll see." Rounding the barn, they found Thomas Randall brushing down a chestnut mare. He was in his late 50s, with a warm smile, though lines of worry creased his forehead. "Jack Meyer, right?" He extended a hand. "I appreciate you coming out. Let's talk in the barn office." They settled in a small, dusty office that smelled of leather tack. Lily stood by the door, arms folded. Jack perched on a stool, carefully laying out documents. Thomas studied them, brow furrowing. "So you want to buy all 70 acres?" Thomas asked, flipping through pages. "That includes orchard land, a chunk of the lakeshore, and our grazing fields." Jack nodded. "I can pay a premium, as long as we finalize within the next few weeks. I have a timeline for starting construction." Thomas exhaled. "I only hope you'll keep your promise about preserving some farmland. This community means a lot to me. My father built this orchard from scratch, and the lake's been a local fishing spot for generations." Jack managed a reassuring smile, though he felt the urgency prickle in his chest. "Mr. Randall, trust me, I want a top-tier resort that respects local tradition. We'll keep the orchard edge for scenic tours, maybe brand it as part of the resort's charm." As they talked details, Lily's eyes remained on Jack. She said little, but her subtle frowns and occasional scoffs betrayed her skepticism. After an hour, they reached a preliminary agreement, a fair price, partial deposit, and a timetable for official closing. Jack rose, offering a handshake. "I'll have my legal team draft the final contract." "I appreciate your cooperation, Mr. Randall." Thomas clasped his hand. "You drive a hard bargain, son, but you seem earnest. Let's just hope everything goes smoothly." Lily's voice cut in, quiet yet firm. "Sometimes these things aren't as smooth as city folks imagine. Maplevale's bigger than your vision boards." Jack stiffened. "I get that, but I'm prepared to see it through." Their eyes locked, tension sparking. He sensed her disapproval, but she was just a farmer's daughter, likely unconnected to the financial side. He shrugged it off. He had bigger worries now, finalizing the investment needed to break ground. Little did he know how central Lily Randall would become, far more than just a country girl. This was only the beginning of a journey that would shatter his assumptions and open a path he never saw coming. The days following Jack's visit to Maplevale were a blur. Back at his city office, he juggled phone calls, meetings, and frantic attempts to secure the major funding needed to begin construction. The Randall farmland agreement hinged on proof that he could finance the build. Otherwise, the deal might fall through. One afternoon, as Jack scanned his email inbox, a message from his bank caught his eye. "Loan application denied." His stomach clenched. He'd counted on that sizable loan to supplement his own capital. Now, with the loan refused, he risked running short. He marched into Grace's workspace, frustration etched on his face. "The bank just turned me down. They think the Maplevale resort concept is too risky, too rural, uncertain ROI." Grace's expression fell. "That's not good. Maybe we can reapply or find a different lender." Jack paced like a caged animal. "We could, but it'll take time we don't have. The Randalls want a deposit soon, or they might consider other offers." "Our window's closing, Grace." Grace sighed. "What about private investors? We've tried some, but maybe we need to broaden our reach. Could we pitch the project at an upcoming venture forum?" He raked a hand through his hair. "I can try, but the ones I've approached either want a bigger stake or are suspicious about building a resort in farmland. Everyone's cautious." He slumped into a chair, uncharacteristic defeat tugging at him. "If only my first big investor hadn't backed out. Or if I could find one person who believes in Maplevale's potential." "Don't lose hope," Grace encouraged softly. "You're known for turning improbable ventures into successes. Something might come through." Jack nodded, inhaling deeply. He'd never been so close to seeing a dream slip away. The Maplevale plan meant a lot. He prided himself on creating luxurious destinations from neglected spaces. But now, the finances were crumbling. A few days later, Jack drove back to Maplevale. He'd promised Thomas Randall a progress update, but dreaded admitting the funding crisis. He hoped to buy more time, possibly renegotiate deadlines. As he pulled up the gravel driveway, he spotted Lily feeding chickens by the barn. The morning sun lit her hair, giving it a golden hue. She noticed him, setting down a feed bucket. "Back again, city man? Don't you have bigger fish to fry?" Her tone was playful, though her eyes still held a hint of wariness. He forced a thin smile. "I need to speak with your father. Is he around?" She pointed toward the orchard. "He's checking on the apple trees." Then her gaze flickered over his subdued posture. "Something wrong?" "Wrong." Jack hesitated. He'd intended to keep his troubles private, but Lily's directness unsettled him. "I just have some complications. Don't worry about it." She shrugged. "Suit yourself. But if you think you can hide stuff from Dad, good luck." They trudged through rows of apple trees, many in bloom, filling the air with sweet fragrance. Thomas was pruning branches, his weathered face lighting up when he saw Jack. "Morning, son. Everything going as planned?" Jack swallowed. "Actually, I might need a slight extension on the deposit date. My funding timeline is shifting." Thomas frowned, leaning against the trunk of a gnarled apple tree. "That's not what we agreed, Jack. I turned down another buyer because you seemed certain." Jack's cheeks warmed. "I know, and I'm sorry, but I'm working on new investors. I just need a few more weeks, maybe a month." Thomas sighed heavily. "A month, huh? I guess we can do that, provided it's truly feasible. Lily was telling me you might not see the farmland with the same eyes we do." "Dad," Lily began, shooting her father a look. Thomas waved her off. "Now, hold on, Lily. I want Jack to know we care deeply about these acres. If you can't secure the funds soon, we might have to reconsider. We can't wait around forever." Jack's chest constricted. "I promise I won't let you down." Thomas nodded slowly. "All right, 1 month. But after that, we'll have to look elsewhere." As they walked back toward the farmhouse, Lily confronted Jack. "You're risking a lot on this dream. Are you sure you know what you're doing?" Her question stung, highlighting his shaky situation. "Yes, Lily," he said, frustration creeping in. "I've built successful projects before. I can do it again." She studied him intently. "Then why do you look so uncertain?" "You don't fool me." He stopped, turning to face her. "Because it's complicated, okay? Money doesn't grow on trees, ironically. My original investor bailed, my bank loan got denied, and I'm scrambling for a solution." A flicker of sympathy crossed her features, but she crossed her arms. "So you might not get the finances in time, meaning my family sells the land to someone else. Maybe a developer who'll tear down everything." Jack bristled. "I'm not the enemy here, Lily. I do want to keep the orchard's charm. I'm just stuck." She bit her lip, glancing at the orchard behind them. "I don't want Maplevale turning into a soulless resort. But Dad says you offered decent terms. If you can't buy it, who knows what the next buyer will do?" He nodded somberly. "Exactly. So trust me, I'll find a way." Their gazes locked for a moment, tension and an odd mutual concern passing between them. Lily nodded, stepping back. "Okay, then I hope you succeed." That evening, Jack was invited to stay for dinner, a courtesy from Thomas, who insisted on hospitality. Around the worn wooden table in the cozy farmhouse kitchen, they shared homemade stew, cornbread, and lively conversation about local weather patterns and orchard management. Lily chimed in with surprising knowledge, discussing farmland economics and distribution channels for produce. Jack found himself unexpectedly intrigued. She was no naive country girl, but an intelligent, grounded woman. Their earlier friction lingered, but he sensed an underlying respect growing. When Lily teased him about city-dweller cluelessness, he volleyed back, joking about how he'd need country lessons to navigate a tractor. They laughed, tension easing. After dessert, Lily walked him out. The stars were brilliant overhead, the night quiet except for distant crickets. "Thanks for dinner," Jack said softly. "Your family's kindness is refreshing." Lily gave a small smile. "We might disagree on what to do with this land, but we're not monsters." She paused, scuffing her boot on the gravel. "I meant what I said. I hope you pull it off. Maplevale's better in your hands than some reckless corporation." Jack's heart warmed at her admission. "I won't forget that." He drove away under the moonlight, a swirl of determination and confusion in his chest. He needed a miracle investor soon, or else all of this, the farmland, the orchard, this delicate new bond with Lily, would slip from his grasp. Back in the city, time ticked away. Each morning, Jack scoured contacts, pitched to wealthy acquaintances, even tried crowdfunding. The calendar in Grace's office loomed ominously, marking the final day of his month extension. With just a week left, frustration weighed heavily on him. One afternoon, Grace burst into Jack's office, eyes alight. "You won't believe it. A private investment group just reached out, claiming they're interested in backing Maple Vale Resort. They specifically requested a pitch meeting this Friday." Jack jolted upright. "That's incredible. Did they mention terms or how they heard about us?" "No details, just that they want to remain anonymous until the meeting, but they sound serious." A spark of hope ignited in Jack's chest. If this group agreed to fund the project, he could secure the Randall farmland by the deadline. "Let's finalize a slick presentation. This might be our last shot." Friday arrived. Jack meticulously prepared a multimedia presentation, renderings of the resort's design, projected financial returns, a heartfelt narrative about blending luxury with Maple Vale's rural heritage. Donning a sharp navy suit, he and Grace headed to a high-rise downtown, where the mysterious group had arranged to meet in a rented conference room. Upon entering, Jack noticed only two people in the room, a stern older gentleman in a pinstripe suit and a younger woman with her back turned, typing on a tablet. The older man extended a greeting. "Mr. Meyer, I'm Adrian Cross. This is my associate." He gestured to the woman, who remained focused on the tablet. Jack set up his slides, shaking off nerves. "Thank you for meeting me. I'm eager to share Maple Vale's potential." For the next half hour, he presented with passion, showing cost breakdowns, revenue forecasts, and the promise of minimal environmental disruption. The older man asked pointed questions about construction phases, staff hiring, and possible local pushback. Jack answered confidently, supported by Grace's data. Finally, Adrian Cross nodded. "Impressive. We can see your track record is strong, despite the recent setback with your original investor." He glanced at the younger woman. "Shall we?" She rose, turning to face Jack. His words died in his throat. It was Lily Randall. For a split second, he thought he must be hallucinating. But there she stood, wearing a tailored blazer and pencil skirt, her hair in a sleek bun, exuding an aura of polished authority. The farmer's daughter was here, in a corporate setting. "Lily," he breathed. "What's going on?" Her gaze was calm, though her cheeks colored slightly. "Hello, Jack. Let's just say I'm not just the country girl you assumed." She turned to Adrian Cross, who nodded respectfully at her, indicating she was, in fact, his boss, or at least an equal. A stunned silence gripped the room. Grace blinked, jaw slightly open. You're the associate." "The potential investor?" Jack stammered, mind reeling. Adrian Cross folded his arms. "Miss Randall's family is quite prominent in certain circles. She heads a private investment fund focusing on sustainable projects, among other ventures. She asked me to keep her involvement discreet until she was sure your concept was viable." Jack's heart pounded. Lily Randall, Thomas Randall's daughter, was an investor? Not just any investor, but apparently a major player with the resources to save his project? Why didn't you tell me?" he managed, staring at Lily. She lifted her chin, a gentle challenge in her eyes. "Would you have believed me if I told you back at the farm? Or would you have seen me differently?" Memories of his offhand remarks about just a country girl flooded back, shame burning his cheeks. "I guess not. When my father told me about your plan, I had doubts. I also had access to a separate fund that invests in hospitality with an eco-conscious angle. I wanted to see if you were genuine. So I tested you, letting you reveal your intentions about Maple Vale." She paused, a faint smile curving her lips. "And, well, we do still have differences. But I believe in your sincerity, and that you want to preserve the orchard. So here we are." Grace stepped in, voice trembling with excitement. "So does this mean you're prepared to back the Maple Vale Resort, Ms. Randall?" Lily exchanged a glance with Adrian Cross. "Yes, if certain conditions are met. We want assurances that farmland preservation is a priority. We'd also like local farmers to supply produce to the resort's restaurant. And I want input on design changes to safeguard the orchard's ecosystem." Jack found himself nodding vigorously. "Yes, absolutely. We can incorporate all that. I want the resort to celebrate Maple Vale's heritage." Then he turned to Lily with earnest gratitude. Thank you for believing in me, even after I might have come across as dismissive about the countryside. She regarded him steadily. I was never offended by your ambition, but I needed to be sure you wouldn't exploit Maplevale. If we invest heavily, we want a partner who respects local values. Jack exhaled, relief coursing through him. I do. I promise. Let's make this dream a reality. They shook hands, Lily's handshake firm, her hazel eyes shining with both triumph and a hint of personal satisfaction. In that moment, the second major turning point crystallized. The farmer's daughter was, in fact, the biggest investor Jack could have hoped for. The lines between personal and professional blurred in the most surprising way. The meeting concluded with formalities, Cross and Lily promising to send a term sheet. Grace was beaming, while Jack navigated a swirling cocktail of emotions. He felt triumphant, yet also humbled. He recalled Lily's stance in the orchard, her skepticism. Now she was the key to saving Maplevale and his entire plan. As they left the conference room, Lily lingered behind the others. She gave Jack a sidelong glance, a small smile tugging her lips. You know, I wasn't trying to trick you. I just wanted to see who you were without the investor mask on. Jack scratched the back of his neck, a sheepish grin forming. I get it. You saw me at my rawest. Maybe that's for the best. She nodded, hesitating before adding softly, I believe we can do great things together for Maplevale. He smiled, warmth flooding him. I won't let you down. Their gazes locked, a spark passing between them, something deeper than professional courtesy. Lily turned to go, but Jack gently caught her elbow. Hey, if you're free, maybe we could talk more about the orchard over dinner soon. I'd love to hear your ideas. She studied his face, an intriguing blend of affection and caution in her eyes. Dinner. Sure, let's do that. So the puzzle pieces fell into place. Lily was no ordinary country girl. She was a formidable investor with personal ties to the farmland. And Jack, for all his big city bravado, realized he'd never encountered a woman so quietly powerful, so dedicated to protecting her roots. Everything about Maplevale had just gained new meaning. With Lily's investment on the horizon, Jack threw himself into finalizing the Maplevale resort plan. Over the next weeks, the tension eased as financial security blossomed. He paid the Randalls' deposit on schedule, securing the farmland deal. Meanwhile, Lily's involvement meant a series of design revisions, expanding orchard-themed tours, adding a produce partnership with local farms, and ensuring minimal environmental disruption. Despite their newfound alliance, not everything was seamless. Lily had strong opinions about preserving farmland authenticity. Jack, for his part, aimed for a certain upscale flair that risked overshadowing the rustic vibe. They clashed over architectural choices. She wanted fewer concrete paths, more natural trails, while he worried about accessibility for high-end guests. One day, on site at the farmland, Lily studied the blueprint laid across a makeshift table near the orchard. You can't pave over half the orchard approach. It'll ruin the scenic entry. Jack gestured at the plan. But guests will arrive in vehicles, some in luxury cars. They'll need a smooth drive and convenient parking. If it's all dirt or gravel, we risk negative impressions. Her cheeks flushed. Are you designing for comfort alone, or for an immersive rural experience? Because Maplevale's charm is in its natural landscape. He exhaled. We can find a middle ground, maybe a partial paved lane, partial gravel walkway. I'm not ignoring your concerns, Lily. She pressed her lips together, then nodded. All right, partial paving. But keep it minimal. Their compromise was uneasy. Lily turned away, scanning the orchard's blooming apple trees. Jack, I know how important it is to please your future guests, but I can't watch you bury this land in concrete. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. I understand. I truly do. Let's finalize a solution that respects both nature and convenience. We'll bring in landscaping experts who can help. She sighed, tension in her posture softening. Thank you. This orchard is personal to me. My grandpa planted these trees. I grew up running around here. Jack's gaze softened. And I want your future kids to be able to do the same. Let's be partners in this, Lily. A flicker of emotion crossed her face. They were building more than a business together. They were blending her roots with his ambition. As the resort broke ground, Jack spent many days on site, overseeing construction. Lily was frequently there too, sometimes with her father or local farmers, sometimes with Adrian Cross. Whenever they had a spare moment, Jack and Lily stole away for quiet walks around the lake, discussing orchard management or new marketing angles. Over time, their banter took on a playful intimacy. One evening, after a long day's work, they strolled under the orchard's canopy. The setting sun painted the sky in swathes of orange and pink, the sweet scent of apple blossoms drifting in the warm breeze. "The progress is incredible," Lily murmured, gazing at partially constructed cabins perched among old oak trees. "You've really ensured minimal disruption. I appreciate that." Jack slid his hand into hers tentatively. She didn't pull away. "Couldn't have done it without your oversight. Also, I've realized Maplevale is special. Not just another business venture." She squeezed his hand gently. "It's become special to me too, though I guess it always was. But now I see it transforming in a way I never imagined. If it truly merges luxury and farmland, maybe we can create something that helps this community thrive." He turned to face her, heart thrumming. "We will. And Lily, I'm grateful to you for seeing potential in me, in this idea, even when I was clueless about rural life." She smiled. "You've grown a lot. You even learned to handle a tractor without stalling it." Jack chuckled softly. "Well, I had a great teacher." Their eyes locked, a moment brimming with unspoken feelings. Slowly, Jack leaned closer, testing the waters. Lily's gaze flicked to his lips, then back to his eyes. The orchard rustled with a gentle breeze, and in that hush, they kissed, soft and warm, a realization that their bond extended far beyond professional partnership. When they parted, Lily's cheeks glowed as she let out a small laugh. "Guess we're merging more than farmland and resort plans." He brushed a stray hair from her face. "Indeed, now it's personal." Months later, the Maplevale Resort's construction neared completion. Wooden cabins with panoramic views of orchard and lake, a farm-to-table restaurant using local produce, spa facilities discreetly tucked amid groves of pine. The orchard remained the centerpiece, trails meandering under arching branches heavy with fruit. Jack planned a soft opening for select guests and local officials. Lily orchestrated a charity gala, with proceeds to support Maplevale's smaller farms. The day arrived, glittering with possibility. People in stylish attire mingled with townsfolk in simpler clothes, all admiring the synergy of modern luxury and pastoral charm. Thomas Randall stood by, pride shining in his eyes as he watched guests sample apple-infused dishes, courtesy of Lily's input. Grace managed event logistics with a grin from ear to ear. Adrian Cross chatted with potential new investors, praising the resort's success. Jack, wearing a tailored suit, but with comfortable boots, a nod to Lily's influence, guided visitors from the orchard path to the main lodge. A sense of triumph filled him. He'd brought the Maplevale vision to life, but it wasn't just a personal victory. Lily's unwavering belief, her financial backing, and her local knowledge had shaped everything. Around dusk, Lily found him by the lake's edge, gazing at the water shimmering under fairy lights. She slipped her arm through his. "It's beautiful," she said softly, "just how we dreamed." He turned to her, awe and gratitude etched on his face. "We did it together, Lily. Thank you for giving me a chance. I can't imagine this happening without you." She smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. "A month ago, you were about to lose everything. Now look at us, celebrating a new chapter for Maplevale." He exhaled happily. "I never expected that the farmer's daughter would be the biggest investor in my life, in every sense." She blushed at his affectionate tone. Then, a playful glint sparked in her eyes. "And I never thought a city entrepreneur could be so open to real partnership. But you showed me you cared about preserving what matters." "I do," he murmured. "And I care about you." They kissed, the soft glow of lanterns reflecting in the lake. Applause and laughter echoed from the distance as guests reveled in the orchard's charm. The Maplevale Resort was officially a success, bridging two worlds that once seemed so separate, a testament to how big dreams, respect for heritage, and genuine human connection could intertwine. Thank you for reading Young Millionaire. Thought the farmer's daughter was just a country girl, until she showed up as his biggest investor. We hope this story warmed your heart and reminded you that true potential sometimes lies where we least expect it. If you enjoyed this tale, we invite you to subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with more captivating narratives filled with romance, ambition, and uplifting surprises. Join Soul-Stirring Stories today and never miss another moving journey.